Hello everyone, before we start the tutorial, I strongly recommend that you make a set of files for the N% category. Those being, the first one, it would of course be a blank file for your speedruns. Here you can choose whatever file name you want, since its length does not affect the text speed at all. The second one would be a file with preferably 20 hearts, red mail, and no sword upgrades, so you can practice stuff like trial escape, Yuganon, and other tricks in general. The third one would have all world dungeons untouched, except for activating the weather vanes. Of course, that's for those who have the physical copy of the game and are limited to having only 3 files at a time, unlike the digital version that allows you to store data in your 3DS. Now let's move on to the tutorial. First we're going to prepare a blank file if you haven't done so already. And optionally soft resetting the game upon starting by holding L, R and start. What that does is, it saves around 40 frames on the intro due to it starting sooner. So right at the start there's a cutscene you'll be skipping. Just smash start and hold on to the middle of the bottom screen until the skip option appears. Just a quick reminder, mash through the text with both A and B, because it's amazing the amount of time you lose by scrolling through the text with just one button. Okay, so now you're going to leave Link's house and start following Gully around. But before you continue, the game forces you to save at this weather vane, which is not too bad since you'll be warping back here a couple times. It's also the only mandatory save you'll be making. Of course, you can decide on saving or not before entering the dungeons, it's up to you. So just move on to the next screen, keep following Gully into the blacksmith's house. Here, grab the sword and leave. Alright, there's a small time saver here. You can jump over this bush if you're angled correctly. I just used Gully for reference to line myself up. In Kakariko, activate another weather vane and make your way to Death Mountain. We won't be delivering the sword quite yet. First, we'll be doing a sequence break here. It allows us to skip the power gloves. Strength upgrades are completely unnecessary for this run. Here, we're basically manipulating the crow's movement, so just follow the steps to get it in position. What I like to do is, use the sign here and wait until it starts moving your way. Then throw the bush and move again as soon as you hear its noise. Now, wait until it attacks you. I'll freeze the exact frame that you'll be pressing down left. This one should work. I usually wait until it reaches around that bright line that I am highlighting on the video right now. Alright, so now that you got the damage boost, there will be many pots on your way out of the cave. You're looking to hopefully get at least 10 rupees from RNG. make sure you kill a few Moldorms. I would recommend that you leave the cave with at least 1.5 hearts. It's basically the safest amount if you get bad enemy movement RNG. It's extremely important that you survive, otherwise it's a massive time loss worthy of a reset. This cutscene here unlocks Ryvil's shop early, which is useful because you will be able to rent items other than the bow for the first dungeon, as well as skipping the stamina tutorial. It's usually not a good idea to grab those rupees, unless you have at least around 5, because they easily go out of bounds. Now, activate this weather vane. You don't need to save like I did. The next step is death warping back to Link's house. If you haven't gotten 10 rupees in the cave, just head this way and you complete the amount that you are lacking. This will hopefully be the only death during the run. I will not cover backups in case you die somewhere, therefore it's really important to make safe saves if you're feeling uncomfortable at some points. Now, there are 2 routes you can take from this point. You can either rent the firerod early, which I personally recommend, or you can rent the hammer early. Due to opening Ryvil's shop early, we actually have an item rental for free, which normally is exclusive for the bow. Now you can choose the firerod route, which is faster but relies on more rupee drops, or the hammer route, although slower, is safer but still requires some money for RNG. I have done many no reset runs, and statistics don't lie. I have gotten a total of 100% runs with the amount of money that I needed at a certain point of the game. Okay, back to the main quest. Go to the castle and talk to the guard. He will tell you to head to the sanctuary, so proceed accordingly. Here just select the first options. For the next part, your goal will be gathering some money. You must have at least 50 rupees by the end of the sewers. Under this gravestone, there's a red rupee. However, if you had a really good rupee RNG before death warping, like 30 rupees, you may skip this one. It saves around 4 seconds. Open the chest and get the lamp. It also enables your first equipment slot. Try getting money from the pots as well. Light the torches and open this next chest for another red rupee. Now you would have 40 rupees. There are 2 extra blue rupees to get. You can use a sword to grab items, by the way. You can try to hit 2 poles at once with a spin attack, but that depends on their movement, so you can just do sword slashes instead. Unlike A Link to the Past, you will pull the left lever to open the next door. Right here, there's another cutscene that's possible to skip. And it also works as another trigger to open Ravio's shop. So... yeah, now we have 2 Ravios. And due to have rented his items already, you have skipped the small tutorial about how energy works in this game. As you can see, one of them will be completely motionless, which is actually bad because you'll be standing right in front of the ball. I'll teach you a way to rent it in case something goes wrong with your speedrun. Here, make sure you mash only A to skip text, otherwise there's a chance that by hitting B, you might select the second option which results in a 10-second time loss. Now, if you're doing the firerod early, you will rent a tornado rod, whereas the hammer route gets the hammer. Equip the bow right after leaving Link's house. There's an Octorok after the screen transition. If it's trying to hit you can also shoot an arrow to kill it instead. If you're doing the hammer route, there are 5 red rupees that you must get before Eastern Palace. Just make sure you don't get hit here. Get hit by the second cannonball. We'll be abusing Link's invisibility frames to get through the bigger one. Grab these 8 rupees. Before the small key, enter this room and grab all the rupees there. Now, just use 2 spin attacks to defeat the mini-boss. If you're doing the firerod route from the start of the game until the end of this dungeon, you must have gotten at least 1 rupee from RNG to be able to rent the next items. So from that spot you can shoot an arrow to hit a switch. I like using the wall there to get the angle to shoot the arrow, but you can also YOLO it. Now, for the boss skip. This trick's kinda hard to get used to. We have to get the armors in the position, so what I like to do is, I stand here and wait until it hits me. Now that it's been pushed back, just slash it twice. Sometimes you might get this early cycle here. Don't worry too much if it doesn't work, it's kinda hard to get it. For the trick to work here, it's required that you stand close to the wall like that. You don't have to run against it though. Alright, so this trick here is not frame perfect. I'll just freeze one frame that should work for reference. Wait a few frames after it has jumped a second time, and use the tornado rod to lift yourself onto the wall. Also, it's important to remark, if you have failed it, there's a possibility that it might work if you use the tornado rod again. So for that, just make Link face upwards and try again. Gonna show it one more time. From here, just equip the bow and head to the boss room. Watch out not to void out near the loading zone. So Yuga is a pretty straightforward boss. Just stun him with the arrows and use a sword when you run out of the energy. Also another cutscene to skip. So there's the heart container. I would recommend you not to skip this one. Before you leave the dungeon, make sure to collect all the rupees shown in the video. If you're doing firerod early, there's also a purple rupee here. That basically gets rid of most of the RNG, but it also makes both routes even. Okay, now we return to Link's house in order to rent other items. Here you'll be getting the bombs, and also the hammer if you haven't gotten it yet because of firerod early. Watching this small cutscene here enables you to obtain Gully's pouch, which allows you to use the X button for items, but that's completely unneeded, mainly because of the quick equip feature that we learned later in the run. Okay, so now we're headed to Zora's waterfall. Irene's bell is an extremely useful item. Remember when we activated that bird statue at the start of the run? We will soon be walking to it, which saves a great amount of time because it's located on the other side of the map. Don't forget to activate this weather vane. We'll be warping back here pretty soon. Stay merged until after the screen transition. It skips a dialogue with that Zora. You can also stay merged here to avoid that crab. Proceed avoiding the enemies. Now that you watched that cutscene, warp to Kakariko. Buy the smooth gem from the merchant. Inside this house, there is silver rupee needed for both routes. Also, make sure you jump around here, otherwise that shade guy will run away and you'll have to re-enter the village. Now that you acquired the Pegasus boots, warp back to the witch's house. And now you are able to dash instead of walking back to the Zora's cave. Also make sure you equip bombs during one of the dashes. Now there's a fairly easy cutscene skip here. Place a bomb between the wall and the pillar, then equip Tornado Rod. Wait until the second or third bomb flash, and then use the Tornado Rod. If you have done it correctly, you should be boosted up here. Now, to avoid stepping on the trigger, make sure you walk towards the Zora and then the fountain. I'll show one more time in slow motion. Make sure to leave this way avoiding the stairs, because the trigger will still be there until the next time you enter the cave. There are 28 rupees in the river, so let's do the math real quick. For the firerod route, you should have at least 100 rupees at this point, and by the master sword 150 rupees. I would recommend getting this red for this route, unless you have at least 120 rupees. However, if you rented the hammer first, you would normally be able to skip this one most of the time. But then again, you should have something around 220 rupees by now, and buy the master sword at least 250 rupees. But anyway, if you're going to skip it, just warp as soon as you exit the cave. As soon as you enter, dash forward to hit the switch. And remember, grab as many rupees as you can from now on. Now take this pot here with you, and throw it on the switch. Now, for this fight, The plan here is to stun all 3 of them and use the tornado rod. Kill both skulls to the left at once, and finish the remaining one. So, there are 2 ways to cross this room. The first method is kinda tricky to get at first, but it rewards you with 6 seconds of time saved and 6 extra rupees. What you're going to do is, merge with this platform as you would do normally, then get out and merge again with that wall. Slash the bar if it gets in your way. Now stay close to the wall while facing south, and wait until the platform returns. When it gets close, hold down to walk into the void, and after a few frames press Y to use the tornado rod before Link's falling animation starts. Then equip bombs. Now, to the easier method. What you do here is really simple, just get really close to the ledge. You can use a sword to measure the distance and makes it easier to walk slowly. Now use the tornado rod to get on the returning platform. Equip bombs and just proceed normally. Now, for what could go wrong. This instance here shows what happens if you use the tornado rod too quickly. This one if you wait too long to take action. Another example of going too late but landing on the ground instead. Place a bomb and throw it on the other side of the gap. Then walk downwards while avoiding the keys. Equip the tornado rod here and activate the fan. You will try to use the tornado rod before the bomb explodes, so the wind pushes you during the bigger fan's cutscene. You can cancel the tornado's rod animation by getting hit by the spikes. It saves a few frames but it's not that important. After spawning the key, dash diagonally. It's possible to get it from underneath, instead of having to go all the way around. Pull the lever to spawn the big chest. It's possible to avoid taking damage from the fire by either merging with the wall or walking between the flames. Here, it's possible to skip the big fan's activation by damage boosting into the loading zone. So, follow these steps. Firstly, position Link right underneath in a specific spot of the gratings. I'll highlight the exact spot right now, it's really important that you memorize it. Then, use the tornado rod to make the keys fly away. It should land right on the edge of the platform. Just wait until it stops moving, and then use the tornado rod right as shown in the video. Here, I'll do it one more time. It's important to make sure that you are not directly underneath the platform, otherwise it won't work and you will have to re-enter the room. Here, you don't need to wait for the platform cycle. Just walk a little bit forward and hold L for a dash. But as Link prepares to start running, hold down to cancel the dash right away. The energy meter, although invisible, is still there, so you'll be constantly managing your stamina during the fight. Make sure you rewatch it a few times to memorize the exact order of the item usage. Firstly, just use the tornado rod as soon as the fight starts. Make sure you equip bombs while in the air, and finish the cycle with sword slashes. Now you will either jump off to the down left or down right of the boss and prepare to place a bomb before it regenerates. Now, prepare a spin attack, and as soon as it starts moving, just walk diagonally while avoiding the sting. Release the spin attack as soon as you can, so the bomb's explosion actually damages the boss. Now, repeat the process on the other side. Now you take some distance from the boss. Use the sting for reference, and place 2 bombs and throw them right before the boss starts moving to end the cycle. Now remain on either the bottom left or bottom right of the arena. As soon as the third cycle starts, place a bomb and prepare a spin attack just like before. However, you want to get thrown out of the arena due to the spin attack's recoil, because that will recharge your stamina instantly. Now just redo the steps from before, and remember, it moves slightly faster during this last phase. Now get the heart container, because it makes the pendant spawn faster. Now warp to Death Mountain. Here, equip the hammer and enter the cave. You can get some money from the boulder here, but sometimes the rupees go out of bounds. Now break the first boulder and dash. Let Link get hit so you can abuse his invisibility frames to get past the other ones. Sometimes there may be green sparkling stones here, so you can get some extra rupees if needed. Link is actually capable of crossing this gap with a dash. Therefore you can skip having to exit and re-enter the cave to reach the other side. What we'll do is, stay close to the wall and do a diagonal dash and cancel it right before reaching the other side. You can pause buffer here if you find it easier. From this frame until around this one it should work. If you take too long to cancel the dash, Link will simply fall next to the pots and you'll have to do it again. If you get it first try, you will not have to wait for this boulder cycle. So here, use the spin attack to hit the switch. There's a chance that one of the enemies is close to the platform, causing you to get pushed back by the recoil. If that's the case, just use the hammer to flip them over before activating the platform. In this dungeon there are plenty of pots lying around, which you can get rupees from. Equip the bombs after hitting the mole. Now grab the key. The next trick is probably the hardest one in the run right now. Kill the Moldorms if necessary. Now place a bomb and turn it back and hit the switch so it elevates the platform. Equip the tornado rod. Now wait until around the 4th bomb flash and use the tornado rod. This is one of the most important tricks, so make sure you practice a lot. As it is a double-edged sword, it may save a bunch of time, but it may cost you a lot of time as well. Also, remember that you have limited stamina. These instances here show how to manage it, as well as what could be happening if you're failing the trick. If this happens, it means you went too early. Now, if it was the first time, just wait 1 second and do the trick again. This time, it will replenish your stamina completely. Now if this happens or it briefly displays the floor above but you fall again, it's because you went a tad too late. From now on you will have to wait a little until you are able to do the trick again. So what I do to measure the stamina recovery is, I bonk 4 to 5 times and it should be enough to try again one more time. Now wait until you recharge your stamina, because you must use the tornado rod 2 times in a row. The runners have different methods to make sure they have enough stamina. Some count the heartbeats, use the music for reference, and what I like to do is, I bonk 6 to 7 times and it should be enough. Now wait until you recharge the stamina and use the hammer on the mole. Staying close to the edge of its bottom left sometimes may cause wing to clip through the ceiling instead of breaking it. Now dash towards the door. After you break out the tiles, position yourself around here while facing north. Then prepare to shoot an arrow. Now hit the switches following this order here. Now position yourself around this spot so you can open the chest right away and still make it to the boss door during this cycle. Now stay really close to the edge of the mold to get boosted to the door. The fight's basically the same every time. Use the bow to hit the boss's tail. You can manipulate its movement by staying in front of it while it's spinning like this. As soon as it's about to move, get out of the way and hit the tail again. Now just hit it once with the sword. Skipping this heart container here is actually faster. Just jump off of the arena and return right away. The pendant should be spawned already. But if you want, just grab the heart container for safety. Now just warp to Kakariko. You can actually bonk on the NPCs, so be wary. Now dash here and let Link bonk on the tree. Okay, so unlike A Link to the Past, there is a small trial here in order to get the Master Sword. You must follow the right pole. It seems tricky at first, but in fact, their movement is always the same prior to splitting up. So you just have to pay attention to their final position. The first area is always a pole to the right. Now you must not follow these two. They will always be the ones close to the northern and southern exits. And finally, the last one is always the same, so just walk down. Also, by now you must have gathered at least 150 rupees for the firerod route, or 250 rupees for the hammer route. Now warp back to Link's house. There are only 3 items left, 2 if you got the firerod for free. We won't be using the boomerang and the sand rod. Now a new function will become available, which is the quick equip. Not only it will be useful when selecting new items, but it also allows us to do some tricks later. It's finally time to go to the castle. Note that in a glitchless playthrough, you would have gone there right at the start of the game, so things are going to be a little bit messed up this time. Here you just have to wait until Impa returns. Just kill the enemies and wait. Oh, and don't walk against this guard, otherwise he will talk to you, thus costing some time. Now let Link bonk here. After you receive the pendant again, hold down and dash a little bit after the cutscene is over. That avoids getting hit by the red soldier. You can also dash here twice to avoid that guy, if he gives you bad RNG. Now for this iron knuckle, hold up as the door shuts. Then slash him thrice, shoot an arrow and slash him 4 more times. Now equip the ice rod. Let the last blue soldier hit you so you are able to dash without getting stopped. By using the item and quickly pressing its button on the bottom screen, you can cancel Link's animation, allowing you to move and reuse the item earlier than intended. So 4 blocks on this guy should be enough to kill him. But remember that the enemies also have some invincibility frames. Now equip the tornado rod. We'll be doing another tornado rod lifting, just like the one in Eastern Palace. This one, however, is a lot easier to get. If you walk slowly during the screen transition, Link will actually clip through the ceiling. You can also charge the spin attack to get it. Make sure you're doing it at that exactly same spot, otherwise Link may void out. You can dash diagonally here, but sometimes he may bonk at the end of the staircase. It probably has something to do with positioning. The same applies here. There are some hearts in the wall that you can get without losing that much time. Now for the second Yuga fight, he will basically create two clones of himself. You should look for the one whose staff has flames on its tip. The second phase would normally be done in 3 cycles, but if you do 2 spin attacks on the second cycle, it's actually enough to defeat him. There are some heart drops if you need them. Now equip hook shot while dashing here. Alright, so there are many route options from this point onward. I'll basically be focusing on the current most optimal routes, which is Swamp first, then Desert, Ice or Skull, Dark Palace, Turtle Rock and Thieves Hideout. Activate this weather vane here. You can use the hook shot on these trees as well. Now dash here if the enemy is not too close to you. Activate the weather vane and then enter the swamp. Technically you would need the big bomb to access the swamp palace, but now you can actually skip it by using the trick called quick equip cancel, which I will explain shortly. Merge with the wall and get on this torch here. Put the fire away by holding B. By releasing the Y button and quickly pressing the quick equip menu on the bottom screen, it will allow Link to walk earlier than intended and even reuse the item. If you cancel it too quickly, however, the ice block for example won't even spawn, so learn the timing. Make sure the ice block is really close to the torch like this. Now, quick equip cancel and hold straight left to run into the water. And as soon as you land on the water, press B to swim. If that's the case, just hold left and as soon as you're above the door, hold up to hit the loading zone. If you actually void out, it's because you most likely did not press B at the right moment, or you had an awkward angle on the circle pad. Thanks to the ice rod clipping, we have two route options for the dungeon. I'll teach you how to get the blue mail too. So you can either skip the boss key, which most people find easier, or you can skip the boss. First I'll cover the boss skip. It's definitely worth trying after you get used to quick equip cancelling. A good boss skip attempt should save around 40 seconds compared to a perfect boss fight. Okay, on to the first clip. Kill the Tektite if it's too close to this corner here, otherwise the trick won't work. I like to use Link's shadow to position myself. I try to place its lower part on the middle of the tile here. Now make sure you are really close to the edge, but the ice block is still really close to the wall as well. Here you will release the Y button and press it again on the bottom screen to perform a quick equip cancelling. But keep in mind that you will have to hold straight left as soon as you release the ice block. If done correctly, you should clip like this. No need to mash B and pay attention to your angle on the circle pad and timing. Let me show it one more time in slow motion with the inputs on the screen. Swim to the next room. Here you'll be out of bounds even if you go through the wall. In order to get back to your normal state, just touch the skull here. Now we will be doing another ice rod clip. In my opinion, this one is actually harder than the first clip. The timing is odd, so what I would like to do is, I run towards the water and before I step on the dark blue tile, I quickly do an ice rod quick equip cancelling and fall in the water. But this time, as soon as I land there, I'll press B to swim faster and change the angle on the circle pad from straight right to something near up right. Now one more time. When turning left here, do not swim past the screen's limit so Link won't void out, and don't get too close to the stairs as well. Now get out of the water and use the tornado rod to get on the ceiling. Make sure you're not too far up, otherwise it won't work. Right after the screen transition, if you wait, Link will eventually fall in the water. But slightly holding up works too. Here, beware not to go to the next screen with too much speed. Clipping to the mini-boss room is extremely bad at this point. Unfortunately, you cannot swim directly into the loading zone, because that will soft lock your game. So you have to find the right spot. If not, Link will either fall into the void and you would have to do the second clip again, or he would clip into the boss room and you would have to fight Arrghus, which is even worse. I'm gonna teach you my visual cue for this trick. So my method is, I get slightly out of the wall so I can see Link's head. I try to line the yellow part of his head with the line between the tiles. Now I slowly swing down and try to get Link's left hand on the black dot right there. After you set everything up, just hold down and press B to do a stroke. Now you should land here, within the wall. Tap right and charge a spin attack, so you can walk slowly with ease. You may notice that Link's now getting pushed into the boss room. Just hold up left so you can walk up the stairs. And that was the boss skip. Equip the hookshot before getting the painting. If you want to move on to the next dungeon, just check the description. I'll leave the timestamps there. Here you can start moving before intended. After the dialogue, press A once, but don't try to enter the portal right away. Walk until around here, press A again and now it should be possible to enter it. It saves a little chunk of time if done for all sages. Now the boss key skip. Go to the western room this time. You'll be doing the same ice rod clip as used on boss skip. Stay close to the ledge, then release Y. Cancel Link's animation by using the quick equip menu and walk to the right. I'll show one more time with the inputs. Now you have to align yourself with those blue tiles facing south. Hold down and press B to do a stroke and clip within the wall. Walk a few steps south and press Y. Now press the switch so you raise a platform. I'll teach you how to get the blue mail after killing the boss. Do another ice rod clip. Now you want to get barely underneath the door frame. Use the tornado rod twice to get on the ceiling. Equip hookshot and enter the boss room around here so you won't fall into the void. Dropping down here puts you in a better spot for when the fight starts. Try to pull 2 Arrghus at once and just kill them until there's none left. Now it will be bouncing around. You can use the ice rod to cancel the jump, and it also denies Arrghus from shooting those laser beams. If you corner the boss against the wall, you may land 3 hits per cycle instead of 2. Equip the hookshot before getting the painting. Okay, so how to get the blue mail? Let's just continue from after you get here. Use the enemy to blow the floor and fall there. Use the hookshot to get that key and open the door. Now lower the water level. Dive here so you can avoid the spikes and open the big chest. Now just backtrack and do the boss key skip like normally. Okay, so the next painting is Irene's. Just copy my movement here, it's basically the fastest available. Enter the portal to Misermire. We don't need to go back to the desert in Hyrule for this skip. Just prepare to do a nice rod clip here. Use the flower to position yourself in a way that the ice block is not over the bridge. Do a quick equip cancel and walk straight left. The angle here matters, but the differential is that you must stop at some point, because otherwise the block will push you all the way to the void. So what we will do is slash your sword to cancel the movement. One more time with the inputs. Now kill this enemy here if it's in your way. The next step is using the quick equip cancel to perform a damage boost using the firerod's flames. People have different setups for this. It's not really that precise. What I look at is Link's right foot and those 2 black lines. Somewhere around here should work. Now we'll do a quick equip cancel and try to jump off really close to the wall. You'll be using the dash slide to reach the painting area. Position Link behind that black line. You can use a sword to help with the setup. Start the dash and hold back so it cancels as soon as possible. Upon landing, if you hold down left, you can get the heart container if you want. Now just walk up and get the painting. Press A twice here so you can start moving sooner into the portal earlier than intended. Okay, so now you can either do Ice Ruins or Skullwoods. I'll teach Ice first, but if you want to learn it in a different order, just check the description for the timestamps. The reason why I do Ice first is because I tend to skip all Lorule heart containers, and one strat that I use for like maze skip actually requires full health. So I get hearts at the end of Skullwoods. So now warp to Death Mountain. Enter the portal. Now dash all the way to the right. Make sure you have firerod equipped. This damage boost here skips Rossel's or mine. Position Link behind this black line here and do a firerod quick equip cancel. You want to get boosted in the ropes or on top of that bag. I'm gonna show one more time with the inputs and in slow motion. Now just equip Hookshot and use it on that bag. Take care not getting bounds again or fall off of the bridge. Hookshot the next bag and remain out of bounds. It allows you to skip Hilda's text. You can get 2 hearts here before the auto-scroller starts. Now you just have to wait, so just copy everything the video does. You can use the D-pad right to see the other end of the platform. Just dash before it reaches the top. Use a firerod quick equip cancel to move it while the ice melts. Now you will quickly jump down 2 floors and try to get on the platform to the right. Here position yourself at its edge. Next you'll be moving to the right as soon as Wing gets pushed by the ceiling. I'll wait to know the timings, waiting until both platforms meet each other. Now turn up and dash, so you'll end on the ceiling. You can also pause buffer for it, just wait until you see that Wing got slightly pushed back. Now you must position yourself properly, as you may accidentally spawn the boss if this goes wrong. I like to use the edge of this blue tile for reference, just walk slowly until you fall. Now use the bottom part of these blue tiles and walk to the right again. You will land on the upper part of the arena. If you were to fall in the lower part, the boss would spawn, and it's really bad, because it deals a great amount of damage and it's kinda hard to fight against. Just do 2 firerod attacks and it should die. Now get the heart container if you want and get the painting. Press A twice here so you can start moving sooner into the portal.
Now warp to the vacant house. Go back to Hyrule. Now warp to Kakariko. Now before entering the portal, make sure you equip Hookshot. Hookshot the fence and equip the lamp. For these dark rooms, use your maps on the bottom screen for reference. Here you can get the fast cycle of the firebars if the Gibbon moves to the left. You can bypass him while its bandages are burning. Use the lamp or sword beams to cancel the bar's electricity. Merge with the wall and land on this platform. Now it's hella dark, and it's very likely there will be 2 Gibdos and 1 bar in your way. Equip the hook shot while going through the door. Hookshot the bush and mash B so you can hit the one in the middle. Now equip the hammer. You can cancel the animation in order to drop down sooner. Now equip the tornado rod during the dash. This next room here is completely RNG based. Sometimes there's literally nothing you can do, but I'll give you an idea on how to act depending on the situation. So let's go. First you try to see if the red dead is appearing at the lower part of the screen. Now merge with the wall and see if it starts moving towards you. By now you must decide on what steps to take. To get this puzzle skip, you have to push or pull the statue to the leftmost button. It may sound simple, but the thing is, a wall master will eventually spawn, and we are using the tornado rod for this, so if you linger for too long it will grab you instantly. Now here are the drawbacks. That Moldorm is a pain, but you can kill it with just one sword swing. The Gibdo, however, won't budge at all. So if it gets in your way, it's pretty much rip. Just kill all the enemies and wait for the wall master. The Re-Dead will retreat every time you try to hit him, so you can actually make him fall into the void. So now that you understood the enemy's mechanics, let's talk about the options. If you push the statue, it's very likely that you will be able to avoid the Re-Dead, if it's at the upper part of the room. But you'll be open for the Moldorm and Gibdo instead. Also, it takes longer for the wall to expand, so I would say that you can only do 2 sword slashes or get hit by the enemies and still be able to do the skip. If you decide to pull it, however, you will touch the button earlier, so I would say that you can do 3 sword slashes. It's also important to note that when you hold onto the statue, if an enemy tries to hit you from the sides, it will be delayed until you let it go again. Alright, so if you got good range, you just walk towards the expand wall and use the tornado rod to get onto it. Now merge and just head to the door. If you get caught, you'll be sent back to the entrance of the last hole you fell in. Here just do a dash like this and wait underneath the switch. Equip bombs too. Now just merge with the platform and enter the mini boss room. Okay, so the mini boss is also range based. You can either go for the Gibdo first and hope that the Moldorms will try to hit you, or you could go for the Moldorms first, which is usually easier since they won't run amok. Now stay underneath the Gibdo. As soon as the Wallmaster spawns, merge with the wall so it smashes him, and finish the other one with 2 bombs. Here you'll be skipping the next platform to get the key. Touch the door while facing the chest and dash. You can start charging spin attack to become easier to do so. Now drop down on this side, so it delays the Wallmaster and it won't catch you as you spawn back there. Dash all the way to the left, light the torch and kill the Gibdos. Burn their bandages and use one spin attack to defeat both at once. There are 4 heart drops here. If you are doing Dark Palace next, I recommend getting them, as we won't be getting the heart container here. Now equip the hookshot. Kill the keys here, it's really important. Now hookshot the eyeball. Repeat exactly what I do in the video. Throw it in front of the pedestal from the spot I'm showing. Now stand on this tile here. Throw the eyeball and a few frames after the A button starts to appear, re-grab it right away. It's very important that you under any circumstances drop the eyeball, or it would be impossible to grab it again and you would have to do the glitchless route and bring the real one. Now make sure you're facing the pedestal and throw the fake one to get the boss key. Now backtrack to the big dark room. There are 4 more hearts here if you need them. Equip the tornado rod and dash to the door. Use your minimap to situate yourself. Don't dash here. Walk until you touch the upper wall, then slash it to gain some distance. And use the tornado rod as soon as the boss pulls back to attack you. While in the air, hold forward. If done correctly, you should clip into the loading zone. You can get the painting from the side. Warp back to the vacant house. Enter the portal. If you're doing ice now, just check the description for the timestamps. If not, just dash to the right. Now dash up right to avoid the guards while equipping the hookshot. Now dash north until you reach the portal. Use the grass for reference so you won't bonk for this dash. Now, for the Dark Mage skip there are 2 methods that I'll be teaching, as well as the backups. We will be using the Snapdragon so we can get up on the fence. The first one requires having full health, because we'll be using 2 sword beams to get it in position. This method is the one that I use, since I don't have to react based on random movement from the enemies. Either way, you need at least 3 hearts to survive this. So here dash diagonally, and stop close to the Snapdragon. Now point the hookshot at him and wait until the other enemy starts attacking. Release the Y button to stun the Snapdragon and hit it once. Now quickly position yourself around here. Stay really close to the wall, otherwise you may end up hitting him with a sword instead. It should be close to the tree now. Bump into it to push it in between the fence and the tree, and immediately use the hook shot to stun it again. Now use Link's invincibility frames to get between it and the tree. Make sure you're facing east and dash against the tree. Now just hold straight right to get to the other side. If you want to be careful, just go slowly and beware not to fall into the water. Now for the second method, you don't need to dash diagonally. This one depends on the enemy's movement. Kill the other guy if necessary. After the snapdragon finishes hopping around, it will try to attack you. Use that to your advantage and make it bite towards the tree. Now just stun it or take damage to push it towards the gap between the tree and fence. After taking damage, stun it right away and get in between it and the tree. Just walk to the right, you can take it slow if you want to. Now for the backups. Let's say that you accidentally kill the snapdragon or you don't have enough health to do the skip. If you re-enter the maze, the enemies won't respawn. So what you're gonna do is blow up this wall using a bomb. There's a fairy fountain here. Enter it and you can recover your health. And once you leave, the enemies outside will have respawned. Now let's say you have fallen in the river. If you fall here, it's pretty much run over. However, there's a way to escape, although it can be really tricky sometimes. Equip the tornado rod. The walls underneath the bridge have no collision, therefore you can fall into the void. So what we're going to do is get really close to the edge and dive while slowly move towards the abyss. After that, you start mashing Y to use the tornado rod as soon as Link starts falling. If done correctly, you should clip up here, then you'll get caught. Then you just need to escape from the cell. Now back to the run. If you did the skip without major problems and did not lose much time, you should be able to make it here for this cycle, otherwise just wait. Remember to equip bombs around here. Now place a bomb here. There's a way to avoid getting hit by the explosion. Get close to the wall and start your dash as soon as the bomb starts flashing. The Dark Palace is pretty simple. There are only a few optimizations here and there. First dash here to avoid the Gemesaur, then bonk on the switch. Place a bomb here and equip the hook shot to grab the key. Now just merge with the wall and break the floor. After grabbing the key, equip the bow and go upstairs. Stay close to the wall and use the bow to hit the switch, and then equip the firerod. It might be hard to see, but there are two skulls here. Use them for reference and then use the firerod to burn the window. Equip the bombs while dashing. Throw it to blow up the window and bonk against the wall to get closer to the door. Here, if you enter the door right after the window breaks, you can skip a small cutscene, but it's not worth it. If you fail, you would have to open the door again, and then use the bomb to blow up the window, which costs a lot of time. Now return to the basement. Now dash all the way to the right. Use the black line there for reference and hookshot the key. There's a dash you can do here. Just place Link's left foot on the edge of the tile. Here use the ice rod to hit the switch. For this room here, you can throw bombs over the wall. To make it easier, just get really close to the wall and then slash it to gain some distance. Make sure you grab this earned jar. Here are some hearts before the boss. Now this guy is such a troll. To end the first phase quickly, light the torch and then place 3 bombs close to the center of the room. Then again, this is a really fast paced fight, so just use the equipment menu if you're not used to quick equipment yet. Now as soon as the cutscene ends, you will have to equip the bombs again and make sure you grab another energy jar. Throw one more bomb on its forehead and then the first phase should end. Now it's pretty much luck based whether it will attack you or not. Light this torch and dash diagonally to the other one so it won't damage you. Now slash it until it dies. Just remember that it might start running around and start roaring to put the fire away. You will eventually learn how to deal with each situation. If you're confident you don't really need this heart, there is a heart refill before Turtle Rock. Just make sure you have at least 4 hearts for safety. Now make your way out of the maze and equip the firerod. There are some enemies here. If they notice you and try to attack you, slash them away, especially the Hinox. Okay, so we'll be doing another firerod boost here. So use the flower as a reference and try to stand beside it. One more time in slow motion. Now equip the tornado rod. Just a small reminder, normally there's a message from Hilda around here, but as I had already tried to record and forgot to save, it's no longer there. It's like 4 seconds long. Also, there's a fairy here if you need some health. Okay, so for the animation storage, get really close to the dock. To avoid getting out of the water, just do a stroke for a certain distance. Remember, on that state Link cannot take damage or swim faster, otherwise it will cancel the trick. Avoid the fireballs and position Link around this spot. Make sure you're facing right when you try to touch the wall, otherwise it won't work. After getting out of the water, equip the tornado rod and use it. Two ice rod cancels here, and do it one more time here. Right after slashing the first Wizrobe, drop an ice block. Use the ice rod one more time to finish him off. Dodge the fire and use 2 ice rod quick equip cancel on the remaining one. Remember to give some time between each use, as he also has invisibility frames. Okay, so now drop another ice block here. If you were fast enough and walked on the left edge of the ramp, you should be able to avoid the fire bar. By the way, there are some hearts in the wall to the left, where the fire pillars are appearing. You have two options here. For the boss key skip, you will be taking a hit from the Wizrobe. First, you will likely spawn the upper part of the platform. You want it to be on the bottom part so you can use the firerod to force him to warp. If you do so, equip the ice rod and run to the middle of the next ramp, so it delays his spawn. Or you could just wait until he reappears normally. It takes around 2 seconds. Then move and stand on this spot around here. You can use the D-pad left or up to see the Wizrobe. As soon as you see the flame coming out, move close to the lava like this and drop an ice block. Now, equip the tornado rod and get on the edge of the solidified lava. Use the tornado rod before you get hit. I'm gonna show you one more time in slow motion. Now kill both Wizrobes. If they respawn in northeast and northwest, just use a bow to kill them. Equip the ice rod before jumping down. So the first phase of this boss is basically hitting it twice with the ice block and then extinguish the fire pillar. So try to drop an ice block right as the fight starts. Depending on the direction it was facing, it may get underneath the ratings, so you won't be able to finish the cycle right away. Be careful with the eruption attack. It deals 3 hearts of damage. After 2 cycles, the last one won't require 1 ice block. Optionally, you can equip the bow here for the next phase. Shoot an arrow from this spot. Both sides work. Now the boss has 3 options for attacks: the bite, the spin, and the explosion. Firstly, to just try to bite. If it does the spin, you can cancel it by getting hit. If you don't have enough health, just stand on the corner of the arena and wait until it stops spinning. After a few hits, it will start biting twice, so be careful. If you somehow left it with around 1 HP, it will try to bite 3 times. You will have to break one of the skulls to get the painting, so you could try to shoot an arrow at one of them, so in case it drops a monster part, it will be gone by the time the fight ends. Here don't try to warp while underneath the door frame. Warp to the blacksmith's house. The options order is second, last, first. For this switch, you could either use the sword beams or the bow. Now just push the statues on the switch like normally. Also, it's important to take damage here, because the mini boss fights harder with the sword beams. If you are fast enough, you can actually place it taking damage only once. After you open the door, you must bring the statues back. Place them like this. Now you have to hit the switch and hold on to the statue at a certain spot. For that you could either use a bomb, which gives you an extra time to position yourself. Or, if you're feeling confident, you could just use the ice rod quick cancel. With enough practice it should be relatively easy. You must hold preferably on the upper part of the statue, but the middle should work too. If you're too low, you will fall on the floor below and you will have to do the dungeon like normally. Now you could either drop a bomb or use an ice block to open the door. After that, just dash to the mini boss room. So firstly you would charge a spin attack and try to hit all of them. One strategy you could use is spin your circle pad and mash B. After they close their eyes, charge a spin attack and wait motionless in the middle of the room. After 2 seconds, move again so all of them open their eyes at the same time. Walk towards the door so you don't get hit and all of them get in the range of the spin attack. Now just grab the key and free Thief Girl. While she's following you, you won't be able to dash. However, you can use the L button to make her stop without having to talk to her. Here, charge a spin attack and wait for the Zazix to approach you. Release B and charge another one right away. Move a little bit forward and release it before they catch Thief Girl. Bring her over the bridge and press L around this spot. Just do everything like normally from now on. Make sure you equip bombs whenever you can. Now place a bomb here so you can raise the other platform. Also make sure you don't step on the other platform, otherwise you make more enemies spawn. Also make sure you equip the bow whenever you can. Get close to this corner here. If you're low on health, just be wary. Slash the enemy and don't walk against him, otherwise you might die. Here you can either shoot an arrow or try to fit a sword slash before the roller conveyor puts you out of range. Watch out for the rat here. If it pushes you down, then you have to go back to the jail and save Thief Girl again. Now equip bombs. There's a way to quick kill these guys. Waste 2 bombs like this. Attack the enemy to the right so the other one get in range of the explosion. Now equip the tornado rod. Use it to get behind the moving wall. Equip the hammer before the boss room. Alternatively, there are also 6 hearts before entering the throne rooms. He should then move to the northwest part of the arena. Before he stops, hold the hammer out. Now he will either spin his sword or give you a vertical slash. If he spins the sword, just hit him, take damage, and use the hammer during the invisibility frames. Slash him 2 or 3 times. Or, if he swings the sword vertically, then as soon as you hit him with the hammer, use quick equip cancel to get out of the way and use the hammer again. Finish the cycle with sword slashes. Now he will warp around back to the bottom part of the arena. Follow him again and hold the hammer before he stops. 2 more hammer hits will finish the fight. You can get the heart here if you want. Here just wait until the camera starts spinning around, and then get back to the center of the room. Now try to equip the bow before entering the castle. Also, it's important to avoid taking damage here. Try to dodge the first bomb and then dash to the castle's entrance. Now before we start the dungeon, I would like to remind you that I will also be teaching how to get the blue or red mail. And there is a strat in the first room to get an Earth small key, so check the description for that. But first the default route. First, this iron knuckle, like the golden one in Hyrule Castle, you'll be doing a 3 sword slash plus 1 arrow combo. Repeat it twice. After the third cycle, just slash him 4 times. Then again, you're gonna try to do this without taking damage. Enter the bomb trial. If you don't want to do the small key strat, just drop down by pushing one of the statues and grab the key inside the chest. Now onto the small key strat. Make sure to deal with the enemy first if it's nearby. There are two methods to get on the railing. First, you want to position yourself around here, and then do a dash cancel. Alternatively, you could also use the skulls and do a dash from there. Now open the chest from behind. Now just open the door and go upstairs. Here, you don't need to put the fire away. You just need to dash using the same position as I do to go to the other side. Now backtrack and drop down. Enter the trial. Shoot at least 2 arrows here to make sure it kills the Moldorm in case it gets in the way. Equip Ice Rod while trying to avoid taking damage. Cancel the Ice Rod's animation and walk onto the platform or just throw a bomb. Now throw another bomb at the switch and head to the platform to the left. There will usually be one Moldorm here, so pay attention. Equip the bow and shoot an arrow from around that spot. Alright, so now there are 2 methods to skip the trials. First, the classic one. It's something like 1 or 2 frame window. It's of an utmost importance that you do not destroy the rock under any circumstances. Position yourself around here and shoot an arrow to elevate the platform. To be safe, you could just place a bomb instead and run back to the platform. Now try to get on the edge of the platform. Spin attack until Link starts doing this small jump here. Now place a bomb and you start charging spin attack right afterwards. Release it on the 4th bomb flash. One more time in slow motion. It's a really hard skip, so make sure you practice it a lot. Now to the alternative method. This one's a lot easier, however the drawback is that it costs 3 hearts with the green mail. It requires somewhat an accurate position. First just call the big bomb. To position it, look at the corner of the wall and the black dot on the petal. It should be something like this, but there are other variations that work too. You may have to adapt the following steps accordingly. Now hit the switch with an arrow and equip the hookshot. I like using its tip for reference and try to position it just as shown in the video. It's kinda hard at first, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes free. Another way to get the right pixel is adjusting one thing at a time. For example, first I like to adjust the height and then I move left or right to get the pixel. What you're looking for is to get the tip kinda between the 2 triangles. Then move right or left until the yellow vertical line thickens a little. Now release the hookshot. You'll be pressing BYB. It's fast but do not mash it. It's important to get the timing down. If the position is correct, then you should be blown up to the ceiling. If you get blown upwards, it means that you were too high. If you don't hit the rock a second or first time, it means you were too low. Now one more time in slow motion and with the inputs. One more time again with the default frame rate. Now just dash all the way to the right. Here you can either walk down to the trials door or dash cancel down right from the edge of the wall like this. You should land on the loading zone. From that crack on the wall you could go back to Hyrule and get some fairies to completely refill your health. For the fight, you have 2 options. Equip the bow for extra damage or the tornado rod for extra safety. As soon as the fight starts you can shoot 3 arrows. The trick behind it is shoot the first arrow and then start holding up and keep mashing Y, because it's important to get closer to Yuganon after each arrow so you have enough time to get away. Now just keep slashing him. There are two types of teleports. The first one, he will go behind you and try to swing the spear. You usually can shoot arrows for this one. The second type, he will just go to some random spot in the room and possibly do one red thrust, which deals 6 hearts of damage with the green mail. If you're close enough, slash him once or twice, then gain some distance. Just start running away and do a sharp turn before he stabs you. Just keep doing it until he starts blinking red. Now he should give you the first red laser. Although rare, he may keep warping instead of doing this attack, but just assume he will anyway. Okay, so for this strat, count 7 red lasers and then get to the upper part of the room. This strat forces him to do either one of those attacks, the red laser or the boomerang spear. Shoot an arrow after he spawns, so it forces an instant warp. Now if he appears and starts spinning his spear, you should fit around 9 hits before he teleports again. With this strat you have to deal with a little bit of RNG, but it should work out if the manipulation goes well. Just keep shooting arrows to force him to teleport and repeat the process. The other method would be letting him teleport around on his own. It's likely that he will start doing the warp from the start of the fight, where he spawns behind you and tries to attack you. Just use the bow for the extra damage. And eventually the first phase will end. Now for the safety part, you could just use the tornado rod to avoid taking damage and get behind him as well. Now this is basically a classic dead man's volley from the previous Zelda titles. Assign the blank space to the Y button, so it becomes easier to equip the Bow of Light later. Do not mash for the cycle. You can also try to approach him after each serve. If done every cycle, it should save something like 4 seconds. Remember that the energy ball deals 3 hearts of damage. Now equip the Bow of Light and merge with the wall. Force him out and keep striking him. I'll just run around trying to avoid the butterflies and merge with the wall around here. This one will be faster than before. Still, don't mash B. Standing against the wall like this makes it easier to time each strike. You can also try to approach him after every hit. Now merge with the wall, shoot an arrow. Get out of the wall, merge again and hit him in the back. Now, same thing with the butterflies again. And merge here this time. After he spawns, go to the center of the room. And this time you are allowed to mash. Try to merge with the wall around here so you can kill him and start the cutscene right away. And one slash is enough to kill him. Here just wait for the cutscene to start so you can skip it. Now all that's left is survive the final battle against the Triforce. Time is when you press A on the Triforce. And congratulations, you have finished your speedrun of A Link Between Worlds.